So, Bayern Munich lost to Man City in the Champions League 3-0. So basically, you sack a manager, Nagelsmann, because you've got a Champions League coming up with Man City, a two-legged Champions League encounter. You're 1 point behind Dortmund, knowing that Dortmund always mess up in the final stages of the Bundesliga. And then you sack this manager because you think Thomas Tuchel is going to beat Man City because he's done it for Chelsea, because he's done it in the FA Cup or Premier League, and you think he's going to replicate the same thing with Bayern Munich. Well, everyone knows that Thomas Tuchel doesn't play the most exciting football. There's a reason that he was not at PSG, because he could not handle the big name players. Remember Neymar Cavani fighting over who's going to take penalties? He was sacked from PSG for a reason. Okay, he reached the final of PSG, but he didn't win it, did it? The win for Chelsea against, was it Man City, in the Champions League final, that was a fluke. If you played that Champions League 9 out of 10 times, Man City would have won that Champions League final. It was just because Pep was too clever for his own good. His tactics confused even his own players. It wasn't because Man City played badly, they just did not understand what Pep wanted them to do. And because they had been playing the same way for the whole season, and in one game, Pep changes the whole thing. Correct me if I'm wrong, I think Aguero was on the bench in that Champions League final. So basically, what does Bayern Munich do? They sack Nagelsmann to put Tuchel in, and I do not think a Nagelsmann team would have lost 3-0 to Man City, because they were flying in the Champions League. They were whipping teams for fun. And all of a sudden, there's a new manager who's got new ideas, new tactics. It takes time to implement these tactics. It is something that when you sack a manager and replace him with another one who's got pedigree, by the way, it is risky, because it's either the players would respond straight away, what you call the new manager bounce, or the players would just be so confused. They wouldn't know what's expected of them. When do they make the runs? When do they fall back? And also there's a change in tactics, change in player personnel. As you can see, Gerard Muller was on the bench. Like, how are you going to leave Gerard Muller on the bench? One of your most experienced players. You leave him on the bench against Man City. This guy scores goals out of nowhere. This guy scores goals with his abdomen, scores goals with his shoulder, his knees, his thighs. Gerard Muller scores the most unattractive goals you would ever see, but he knows where the back of the net is. And the play, Serge Gnabry up front. Serge Gnabry is not, he's not a full player. Secondly, he's out of form. Like this season for him has been poor. He's been in and out of the team. You've got Sadio Mane on the bench. I don't know why he's still on the bench. You've got Cancelo from Man City on the bench as well. Big Champions League game, you need your big name players. So I just really don't know what to say about what happened between Man City and Bayern Munich. Like, it's very unusual for Bayern Munich to be beaten by 3 goals. So, man, I was hoping that Bayern Munich would beat Man City. Therefore, Man City would rest players when it comes to the Arsenal game. But now it's going to be the other way around. Man City has got good cushion, so they'll play their full strength team against Arsenal. And then they'll play their full strength team again against Bayern Munich. So it's not looking good for Arsenal right now. But we still have the faith that as long as we don't lose our games, as long as we try and win as much games as we can, we'll still be right there. The minimum qualification at the start of the season was Champions League for Arsenal. We've done that. We've achieved that. Everything else is a bonus. Let's not get carried away that, we're going to win the title. This is Man City that crushed Liverpool by 1 point. That crushed Liverpool by goal difference, same points, level. Liverpool was so crushed that look at where they are now. They just couldn't maintain that same energy. Whereas Man City, they're throttling on. It's not easy to go toe-to-toe with Man City, especially with the squad that we have. So credit where credit's due, So let's just see what happens.